Welcome and thank you all so much for joining us for the Insurance Times 5-star e-trading survey results 2021. And you're going to find some really interesting things here. And as part of this special webinar, we're going to kick off with an interview with Savan Shah. That'll be me and him discussing some of the highlight findings of the survey. Then Savan will be having an interview with the insurer perspective, which will be Paul Toombs, head of SME at Zurich. And then finally, we'll wrap up with the broker view, and that will be me talking to long-standing broker and very experienced e-trader, John Newell. So I really hope you enjoy this session, and let's kick off. Okay, let's jump right into the heart of the findings and kicking off with the extranets. So let's see who were the top and bottom.
Thank you, Saxon. Well, as you can see here, Aviva Fast Trade has been awarded a maximum of 5 stars by brokers. And this is very interesting because brokers have awarded Aviva Fast Trade 5 stars for the last 3 years running.
Right, so Sav, that obviously tells us that, you know, and I know we chatted about this, Aviva have a really, it's a good system, mobile friendly, very fluid. That's kind of some of the chats we've had about it, right?
Yes, most certainly. And what has really come out of the survey this year is how Aviva Fast Trade have been really top quality when it comes to the quality of support given to brokers over the last 12 months. Another area that Aviva Fast Trade have really excelled in year on year is usability and trading ease. Many of the comments that came from brokers discussed about the ease of trading with Aviva Fast Trade and the ability to really navigate through the platform very easily.
Right, so Aviva got a great system, easy to use, and especially quick during the pandemic, which is all great stuff for brokers. But obviously there were some who didn't quite live up to that expectation. Do you want to just illuminate a bit about those who were kind of near the bottom?
Yeah, of course. Well, this year at the bottom of the insurer extranet ratings, we found that brokers gave Hiscox Trader a 2-star rating, and this was actually given for a second consecutive year. And some of the standout comments from brokers this year was really about the quality of support, the long waiting times, the lack of response, and also the kind of underwriter availability. So it really came down to the quality of support that Hiscox was able to give through their extranet platform. Another area, ERS Online achieved a 2-star rating. Now, they are a new entrant to the survey, so we don't have any comparative data, but some of the standout comments from brokers regarding ERS Online was in terms of the usability of the system. Many brokers came forward to say that they're experiencing error messages and other system issues that are really slowing down the progress of their trading whilst on ERS Online. Okay,
so ERS have got a new system. Maybe they can iron out some of these glitches as time goes on. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for them. And we're going to move on now to the next findings. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next section, which is the performance of insurers on the software house systems. Extremely important, and we've got some really great news here with our top performer. So let's see the results.
Well, a big well done to Zurich, who have come out top of the league, and it's been a great story and a great journey for Zurich in terms of their positive transition to the top of the table. In 2019, they achieved a low 2-star rating from brokers, But then in the following year, major improvements were seen by brokers. So in 2020, brokers provided Zurich with a 4-star rating. And in 2021, once again, brokers have awarded Zurich with a 4-star rating. And this was the highest rating across the whole arena.
That's great news, Sav. And I know you've followed them a long time. You've seen them on this journey where they've really improved from literally bottom to top. What's behind this improvement? Why are they doing so well now?
Well, many brokers came forward to really discuss the slickness behind the system and the ability to trade very easily. It was also a big change in terms of the quality and the number of kind of questions asked to brokers. Brokers found their journey whilst e-trading via software house platform with Zurich to be far better since the beginning stages of the platform.
Okay, great stuff. And moving on to some of the ones who didn't perform quite as well, I think it's RSA again near the bottom. What went wrong there?
Yeah, unfortunately, RSA achieved a 2-star rating, and this was for a second consecutive year. What brokers kind of came out to comment on was really regarding the response times and the quality of support behind the system. Having to wait days for a response, no telephone support, live chat was taking kind of too long and is often unavailable, and many more from the comments, as you'll see in the report later on this month.
Great stuff. Thanks for that, Seven. Moving on now to the final section, which is the software houses and those 4 major software houses. Let's take a look at the results. And looking at these results, Sav, I know we've talked about this, so much, which is, yes, Actress have done well, and the software houses generally have put some good results, but you simplify your systems. It's screaming across, isn't it, Sav, from the brokers? Simplify your systems.
Most certainly. No, firstly, like Actress have done fantastically well. Year on year, they've improved their score, and that's what they've been doing for the last 5 years in a row. But yes, you hit the nail on the head. Many brokers came forward this year and really conveyed their frustration around the quality of support from all the software houses in terms of training, in terms of response times, but then also over the last 12 months, brokers have been really needing that quality of support, whether it's training, having a simple system, a simplified system, where it's not too much on the screen. Sometimes it can be over complicated.
Chatbot, maybe or something really good like that, something quick and easy. Don't leave them hanging around, don't leave the brokers waiting. Get something fast to them and get them moving. Is that the kind of feeling you're picking up?
Yeah, most certainly. And another thing that brokers commented on was around the question sets through the software house journey, where there's too many questions being asked to brokers, and sometimes no indication of a quote, or whether it's just an indication. Many of the brokers also came forward to discuss the system and in terms of the smoothness around it. So when particularly looking behind, say, live chat, for example, sometimes it's not very well supported and the platform sometimes can fall over. Brokers discuss the kind of technical aspects of the systems as well. Sometimes it can become very buggy, having problems like logging you out. And really it did come down to the level of kind of support. When brokers are trying to contact support, trying to get some help in different areas of the insurance cycle, there really needs to be someone on hand to help them guide them through. the system and to really utilize the system in the best way possible.
Okay, well, some good stuff there, Seven. Let's just hope those software houses are listening, because the brokers have made their message very clear. And that kind of wraps us up, I guess, for the three main area findings.
Hello and welcome to the 2021 ETrading results reveal. My name is Sarvan Shah and I am the head of research for Insurance Times. And here today, I'm here joined with Paul Toombs, head of SME for Zurich.
Hi, Sarvan.
Well, Zurich achieved the highest ranking amongst insurers via a software house system in the 2021 Insurance Times ETrading survey. What do you attribute this to?
Well, the key has been listening, truly listening to what brokers want, and then taking action. Brokers want a responsive service where an insurer responds to them quickly. They want to e-trade, but they also want to be able to contact an insurer and the way they want, whether that's through live chat, through a phone call, or on the platform. They also want insurers to be able to help them being flexible in writing more business through software houses. We've responded to that by totally redesigning over the past couple of years how we support brokers with new ways of working and new technology. And that's enabled us to become more responsive to brokers. We've actually also invested more in telephony in 2020, despite the pandemic, rather than reducing telephony services. And we actually saw our broker satisfaction increase by 20 points as a result.
Brokers were asked to rate the performance of Zurich via software houses across 5 service factors, focusing on usability and trading ease, where Zurich were highly rated by brokers. Can you discuss the processes and collaboration that takes place to achieve this?
Yes, it's about listening to what brokers want and finding ways to support them in e-trading or business. This is not just vanilla business through Actress. We sat down with a number of brokers and talked through with them what they wanted to achieve and found innovative solutions to help them write more business through the software house route. We then backed this up with great service and support from our experienced underwriters. We also launched a new digital trading model at the end of 2020, which has improved our response times, allowing us to get back to brokers in minutes. And this has helped us increase broker satisfaction even further.
Thank you, Paul. When analyzing the performance of insurer extranets, brokers awarded Zurich Online an overall 4-star rating in the 2021 ETrading survey. This is a wonderful story of improvement after being awarded 1 star in 2019, then 3 stars in 2020. Could you speak on the challenges Zurich have faced over the last 3 years that have contributed to this vast improvement?
Yes, the 2019 survey result was the last year. Our previous ETrading platform was reviewed in the Insurance Times eTrade survey. Zurich's performance in the survey in 2019 acted as a driver to make big improvements. The 2021 eTrading survey clearly is a much more pleasing result. It validates the investment and the hard work that's been put in over the past 2 years, listening to brokers and making big improvements. At the start of this development, we actually had brokers physically in the room giving us live feedback, and that was constant in the development and in continuous improvement ever since we've gone live. This has helped to make the experience even more intuitive for our brokers and backed up by levels of support from our experienced SME underwriters. It's also showing our business results, as well as net new customers have gone up double-digit over the past 12 months. But we're not complacent either. We're continuing to invest in improving broker experience, our responsiveness, and also our overall service proposition to brokers.
So Paul, as you know, brokers were asked to rate Zurich Online across 5 service factors, focusing on quality of support, where Zurich Online were highly rated by brokers. Can you touch upon meeting broker expectations surrounding quality of support?
Sure. From the very beginning of the first lockdown, we focused on continuing to trade with our brokers via Zurich Online and Actress, and servicing them through live chat and over the phone as quickly as we could. Our underwriters all had laptops, soft phones, access to our digital platforms, from the flexibility that we'd introduced prior to 2020 and the business continuity that we practiced. We continue to focus on serving brokers' queries as quickly as possible. Our underwriters handled 400,000 live chat, phone calls and referrals, and really pleasingly still delivered answer rates in the 90s. We've also seen a 170% increase in live chat usage over the past 12 months. And we supported brokers with this channel, but whilst also keeping our phone lines fully open. And our overall broker satisfaction actually improved over the past year, despite the challenges that were faced. And actually, we've got now a +69 broker net promoter score for 2021 year to date. So we're pleased with our service performance to our brokers during such a difficult time. Our SME underwriters have done a phenomenal job under really difficult circumstances, but our focus on service responsiveness is relentless in 2021 as we invest more in digital solutions to make us even easier for brokers to be able to trade with.
Thank you, Paul. So Paul, referrals continues to be an area of frustration amongst brokers. Across all 850 brokers that took part in the 2021 survey, using a variety of platforms, we found that 44% of brokers are either waiting a day or 2 days. And this is a big increase from the 25% of brokers who experienced this last year. What do you think has caused this spike, and what efforts are being made at Zurich to speed up the referral process?
Yeah, so I can understand and appreciate the frustration from brokers. They want a quick service. They're under pressure from their clients. But it's also a continued challenging time for insurers, being able to manage and maintain a mainly virtual workforce. At Zurich, we focused on improving our responsiveness, but also improving the communication with brokers on referrals. We also measure the time it takes us to be able to respond to any of the referrals we get through. And the majority of our referrals are responded to within an hour, but with a little bit longer for those ones that are more complex. And we're continuously looking at ways that we can actually reduce referrals, the straight-through processing to be improved, so we don't have that interruption to the brokers trading. And actually, over the last 12 months, we've seen our speed of response on referrals actually increase and improve rather than deteriorate, which obviously seems to be reflected in the ETrade survey results as well.
An area brokers continue to comment on is the fear that more and more e-trading interactions with underwriters are becoming more rigid, and in some cases, a computer says no exercise if it doesn't fit the box perfectly. How are you ensuring at Zurich that flexibility is given whilst giving underwriters greater decision-making power?
Yeah, really good question. We have the same core platform for our SME customers, whether the business is e-traded through Zurich Online or Actress, or whether it comes in via a manual submission from a broker. Any referrals or queries, any of the underwriting goes to the same experienced SME underwriters with the authority to be able to write business if it's within Zurich's appetite. But also, more importantly, the attitude to try and help the brokers to be able to write that business. We've had great broker feedback on our flexibility. We're able to write some risks. Our largest risk is actually on ETrade, is actually a 6-figure premium. Now that's not the norm. And size of customer doesn't always denote the complexity. But what I would say to a broker, if they've got any concern or whether something can fit in ETrade, is to give us a call, give us a live chat, and then understand whether Zurich can e-trade it or not. 98% of Zurich's SME new business is now e-traded. It's the quickest and best way for brokers to be able to get an SME quote from Zurich. So if we can write an SME e-trade risk, we can write it through ETrade.
So Paul, the final question I have to you today, looking at the future, what gives you optimism in the e-trading arena?
Well, I'm optimistic. I think we're sitting in a positive place. We've got double-digit growth in terms of SME e-trade. Our broker satisfaction is increasing. The Insurance Times e-trade survey is helping to validate our position. We were bottom just 2 years ago. To move to top in software house is a great achievement. It validates all of the hard work and investment. But absolutely, we see the e-trade SME market just continuing to grow.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this special webinar on e-trading and our results for 2021. And I'm delighted to welcome John Newell. And John's been hi John, he's been a broker for a number of years, been e-trading since it started, 15, 20 years ago. Very experienced, some really interesting views. He's looked at the results. So we're just going to ask him about, firstly, kind of what was your strategy, John, when you ran your own brokerage, and what's your general take on the e-trade landscape? Look at these results.
The results aren't massively surprising to me, because there's nothing, the people who've actually got it right are continuing to get it right. But the strategy we used when we were when we were e-trading in large quantities is that the key to doing it successfully is the number of insurers that are on your software house. So it's not just the insurer hub, it's the platform, whether it's Actress, OpenGI, SSP. Our way of doing it was, as soon as a client's needs came in, we first inputted it into the broker system, because that gave us as many quotes in one shot as possible. There are a lot of good insurer hubs out there that aren't, and MGA hubs that aren't on the insurer platform, the broking platforms, which is frustrating, because the key to dealing with an SME e-trader client efficiently is the number of quotes that you can compare at once. I think one of the barriers to that entry is the throughput on on the transactional charges from the software houses. Every time we speak to a small MGA, they say, "Oh, you should be on this platform or that platform," and they go, yeah, but the costs for getting on there are just so high. And it's not just the initial cost, which, when I've seen some of them, they've been quite eye-watering. It's the transactional throughput, which on a lot of cases can equate to 2 or 3 points of equivalent to commission going through for the software houses. If those charges were more realistic, I think we'd see a wider panel on every platform. Right,
so there's kind of two things, isn't there? Some of the MGAs and some of the specialists can't get onto the e-trade platforms because the costs are prohibitive. And then actually, e-trading itself, the transactional costs are very high indeed in terms of, the commissions, which is obviously ends up with more, arguably more expensive premiums for the customers as well, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, definitely. Anecdotally, I've seen a couple of major insurers not go on to leave their own old products on the software house's platform, and on their broker hub, where it's just their own products on there. Those haven't been going onto the systems, and they've cited 100% that it was the transactional throughput costs of putting the new products on there that they just left it off. Eventually, they've had to give in essentially and join the herd for the success of their own platform, but that end cost has 100% been passed on to the consumer.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because Aviva, with their fast trade, they have actually taken some products and given some differential pricing and features on the extranet, as opposed to some of the stuff in the software houses. And you're quite a fan of fast trade generally, aren't you?
I do love the Aviva fast trade system. It is really, it's the holy grail, is that you get really competitive products on there, and it's fast and easy to use. Like, for instance, their mini fleet product on there is an absolute dream to use. Yet the same product through a major software house takes about 15-20 minutes to get a quote, just because there's so many more questions that are completely unnecessary. And they're a clunky user interface, whereas the Aviva interface is really, really, really slick.
So if you know the products on a certain extranet, for instance, Aviva, and you know that they do a certain product well, you might just go straight to the Aviva extranet and not even look at the software house.
100%. You'd reverse engineer it. Whilst I said our SME rule, Fleet's a brilliant example of where you just know these one or two insurers will give us a better quote on their extranet than bothering with, and we used Actress at the time, and it was a painfully slow experience at getting the quote to then actually find out that you're not competitive. So it was dead time. So we then changed to, well, you look at Aviva Fast Trade first if it meets these criteria. You sort of triage it first. And it went through, Dave absolutely smashed it out of the park with the Aviva mini fleet product on Fast Trade, to the point where I think now they only quote fleets of 12 and less on the Fast Trade platform. They don't even use underwriters.
Oh wow, so it's pretty impressive. And
it's a big story, isn't it?
And have you seen the extranets generally improve over the years? I know Aviva has, but have they generally improved, or are there still some real kind of slow, problematic extranets out there? What's your general view?
I think the big problem is, and it does make me laugh, because even the big software houses don't do this, and it's frustrating. They develop these products for brokers to use without involving brokers in the development process. I know it sounds like that should be a common sense thing to do, but the amount of times because I'm quite passionate about e-trading, the amount of times I'm really frustrated about, hang on, why are you doing this back to front? When you actually look at the process, when you get excited that there's a new product and a new hub coming, or something that might potentially be game changing, and then you find out, hang on, you can tell within seconds of using it that a broker's never been anywhere near the development of this, including the actual insurer, the software houses platforms. They'll release a product they'll speak to accountants, they'll speak to lawyers, they'll speak to an underwriter, but they won't speak to a broker to say, how should we do this? Which I think they should all start doing.
We definitely start doing this, and it's your customer. It's amazing that they don't really, isn't it? That they get these clunky products on these systems, which they haven't really consulted the brokers.
That is frustrating. That is the thing that's slowing change down. There's no engagement with brokers to develop the platforms further, or they're developing them in the wrong direction. And because of the glacial pace that insurance and insurance technology works, it's a slow ship to turn to get it back to how it was. Where recently I've seen improvements in the way mini fleet's done, for instance, because that's been my bugbear, is how mini fleet's been traded on the software houses platforms. Now it's starting to get to something somewhere sensible, but the product's 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
There needs to be, the insurer platforms, they need someone to come in and really disrupt how fast change happens. When I first changed to Actress, 15 years ago, it was I was one of the first small brokers to adopt it and fully engage with the e-trading on it. And it was a game changer for us back then. It really was. We were playing with systems that were higher, that the bigger brokers were using regularly, but they weren't utilizing all the functionality of it. But Actress hasn't largely evolved in that time. It feels the same. We need to speed things up without detriment to the customer journey.
There are some new players coming in there, like Applied, who are really putting some investment in. I mean, that might help the market, help move on the market.
Yeah, well, I think Applied are pulling up trees at the minute. I had to play with the system for the first time a couple of months ago, and I was blown away with its usability and how user-friendly it was. I can see training times and training needs for it being a lot lower. It's got a very intuitive interface, but obviously it's got some with a lot of broking experience at the helm of it.
That's really good news for brokers, and it does SME as well as personalised. It does both, doesn't it? So that's good news for brokers potentially.
It is, yeah. I mean, that's the holy grail, a system that is good at personal lines and good at SME e-trading. When you start doing mid-market and higher end corporate work, it's more down to the functionality of the actual system as opposed to what trading portals are built into it. But for home, car, van, and all small business packages, you want a system that does all of them. And as of yet, there isn't one system that is brilliant at commercial and brilliant at personal lines. They're either balanced one way or the other.
Well, maybe that's the mission for someone like Applied, is to try and get that holy grail that you talked about, to do both really well. And just John, just also in the MGAs, I know we didn't quite cover it in the survey, but I just want to talk about MGAs. What's your experience of, because they are cropping up everywhere now, yeah. What's your experience of doing trading with these kind of MGA electronic portals? How do you find them?
Some of the very, very wide breadth on there of quality of system. Some are brilliant, some are less than brilliant. Trying to think of a standout one. I mean, is there
anyone that stands out to you? Anyone you want to mention in a nice way that you've used an MGA that you think is a good one?
You know what? It's a long time since I've been on an MGA portal because we've concentrated. But if I go back 2 or 3 years, there was Anglo Pacific. They were sort of one of the more groundbreaking ones where they started pushing a full suite of products on there. It's more coming down to with MGAs. It's to get brokers to use them. They don't just need to. You don't want to be going on there just to look at one product. You want a full suite of products across a lot of classes for them to become a more pivotal part of people's businesses. Yeah. The one good thing that I would say about MGAs though is that the way they react to things is a lot better, and the way usually the key with MGAs is you get referrals done a lot quicker. We get, you know, some insurers, you can start a referral and you're still dealing with it 2, maybe 3 days later to get the quote finally released and every question answered, every T crossed and I dotted. Whereas an MGA, you can generally get a quote out of its referral state or discounted to the price you want within an hour.
Right, and that was one of the big things which came across in our survey results. The referral times are doubled. It might be the pandemic, but generally they've been getting worse. I mean, that, you know, sometimes it's taking like a day or 2 to get back on a referral. I mean, that must just be like incredibly frustrating for a broker to take a couple of days on a referral.
This is one of my bugbears at the minute, and it's not just insurance, but everyone seems to be using the pandemic as an excuse for poor service. And not being funny, we've been dealing with this for over a year now. We should have, yes, we had a bit of trouble in the beginning, but even at my old brokers, we got that pretty nailed within a few days to what systems work remotely and what don't, and how to change your working practices. Where it's as though they've gone, right, everyone take a laptop and go home, and if you can answer the phone, please answer it. And if you can't, oh, well, it'll be all right. But yeah. a year later, we're still, or more, we're still accepting bad service, and that needs to change. And do you know what? The first insurers and MGAs to up the referral games will be the big winners in this.
Right. So just looking to the future and wrapping this up, it's been a really interesting chat, John. Yeah, I mean, who will be the winners and losers in this E-Trade landscape?
I think constantly Aviva are head and shoulders above everyone else. The Zurich platform's really, really good. I just didn't find, in my experience, the rating behind it was very competitive, because you need the competitive terms and you need the slick service. Unfortunately, the customers, whether we like it or not, are very price driven still. I think Aviva are going to take some beating on a single insurer hub for some time. I think on the insurer platforms, Applied is the one to watch. They're going to disrupt the market somewhat.
Interesting, and that's good for the market to have new entrants and innovation. Yeah. So very exciting.
Well, because then hopefully the end game is everyone ups the game.
yeah, exactly. Raise standards for all of them. Well, thank you so much for joining us, John. It's been a really good chat, and you've really given us a great flavour of your experience and your thoughts, and really interesting. So thanks for that, John. And we hope to see you again soon.
Same from me. Cheers. Bye.